Hello everyone and welcome to Out of Spec Guide. Today I get to tell you about what happens when your Tesla runs out of battery and what to do. So let's get into it. This is my Model 3 rear wheel drive. I just finished taking it on a range test for Out of Spec reviews. Unfortunately, it ran out of battery just about a couple hundred feet away from the charger. I had tried a few times earlier, exiting the car, walking away, and then coming back, and that was able to get me a tiny bit of power, another quarter mile or so. I did that a few times, and unfortunately, it got to the point where it would not turn on again. It wouldn't allow me to move any further, and that occurred just a couple hundred feet that way. When my Tesla died, what you could see when you walked inside is the entry screen was extremely dim. You could barely see it, especially right now when it's daytime. But I couldn't press brake. Nothing happened when I did that. I couldn't shift. It was basically just bricked, except for a very dim screen. Fortunately, with that dim screen, what you can do is put the vehicle into tow mode, and I'll show you how to do that. What tow mode does is it releases the parking brake and puts it into neutral. Basically, it puts it into a situation that allows it to be towed, or in this case, pushed. So what you're going to want to do is go into the vehicle menu, go into service, towing. And you can see right here some information about what to do, what not to do. And you'll see this little grayed out button that says transport mode. It won't work right now because I'm plugged in, but if I were unplugged, in park, and press the parking brake, the button turns blue and you can turn it on. That means that it's in neutral and you can go ahead and push it. Once you get your vehicle into tow mode, now comes the, I guess, harder part. I'm not sure. You're gonna push the car. It's not easy. I'm still a little sweaty from it. Fortunately, people are extremely nice, and I had 2 different people come to help me, which was fantastic. But essentially what you want to do is, if you can, sit in the driver's seat and steer the car. In my case, it wasn't really possible. So what I did is I rolled down the window and basically was able to access the steering wheel from there. So the car is in neutral when it's in tow mode, so you can push it and you can also steer it. You should note that the power steering does not work when this is happening. So it's pretty tough to turn the wheel, but you can do it. Now, if you're going to be pushing the car, just plan ahead, keep in mind what's going on. You don't want to put yourself into another vehicle or some chargers or whatever. So be careful while you're pushing and pay attention to stopping, because if you're not actually in the driver's seat, you have to plan for that too. You have to push it to stop as well as go. So yeah, be careful with pushing the vehicle. Don't hurt yourself too hard. And of course, there are other options. You can phone a friend, call AAA. But if you're really in a pinch, that's how you're going to get out of this situation. And at least in my instance, I was able to push it to the charger, so I'm able to get back home tonight.
Hey everyone, it's Max here, just with a quick add-on to Ryan's notes in this video. So the concern can come up, and I can already see the comments of people saying, oh my gosh, electric vehicles so terrible, you just get stranded with them, you can lose all your battery. This is true. Ryan mentioned this, but I feel like it's really important to stress here. He was doing a range test with the lithium iron phosphate battery in the Tesla Model 3. One of the characteristics of those batteries is it's harder to tell when you're very, very close to empty. But big disclaimer here, most people never will be and never should be very, very close to empty. The Tesla built-in software, and honestly most electric car software, does a pretty decent job of suggesting you to route to a different destination if you can't make it, if you're running really low on juice. They'll suggest chargers nearby. There's also other options. So DC fast charging, what Ryan's using in this video, you can see he's at the Come and Go Charge Point Express units. So he's fast charging his Tesla after the gentleman helped him push it. That's an option. However, it's not something that you should have to do. Ryan did it in this situation because he was so close to the charger and it made sense for them to push it once his car was in tow mode. If you have an electric car and you are not close to a DC fast charger, like you're gonna have to push it for over a mile, well, unless you're training for an Ironman or doing something crazy, what I would really suggest here is to just try to find any other option. My colleague Dave Connor, Kyle's dad, out of Spec Dave, did a really interesting thing with his Hyundai Ioniq 5. When he was on a road trip one time, he was really low on juice, like he wasn't going to make it to the next charger. So he actually found a building where there was an ice machine just plugged into the wall. They were closed. He unplugged the ice machine and he plugged in his Ioniq 5 with a mobile, basically electric car cable or connector. I'd call this a charger, but the charger on board for a wall connector is technically not called a charger. The charger's in your car. My point being, however, there are cables and accessories you can get that for your car. If you have a Tesla, you have to buy them. I'm going to link it in this video that I highly recommend you have if you're worried about this situation. Again, it's not going to happen most of the time. Really, it's not going to, trust me when I say that. But if it does, if you want to be prepared, if you're going in more rural areas with fewer DC fast chargers, or you're just out of range of one, or worst case, one's offline, having this cable, basically this EVSE, electric vehicle supply equipment, is super helpful. So the Tesla one, I'm going to show an image of it here, and I'm going to link it, includes basically a kit with several receptacles. So you could plug it into, I believe, well, at least a wall outlet, an EMA 1450, which is a 50 amp socket that's actually going to charge your car as fast as most home chargers. And then you can even do TT30 with the right adapters. That's basically the 30 amp outlets you see at some RV sites. So thought this was all worth mentioning. The concerns about electric vehicles are valid, but you really don't need to worry about spontaneously running out of range. Again, Ryan was doing a range test. He was pushing to the limit intentionally, and kudos to him for his commitment here. I'm glad everything worked out okay for him. This isn't a situation you regularly should find yourself in, so don't expect this to be a part of ownership, but hopefully my advice combined with what Ryan said earlier in this video can help you feel more comfortable and confident with your electric car. But enough of me blabbering on. Let's go back to that video and let Ryan finish up.
You're joining me finally back in my Model 3, cooling off in the air conditioning, finally getting a charge. I'm really happy about this. I'm glad I didn't have to call AAA. I didn't get stuck here. I'm able to go home and have dinner. It's great. I hope that you guys never have to use this information, but if it happens, you guys know what to do. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help. I'm also interested to hear what else you guys are interested in learning about. Talk to you guys next time.